Welcome back to Fairfax Pilates. I'm Brittany, and today's class is going to be our stretch and energize morning Pilates routine. So this is a great thing to do first thing in the morning to get your body moving and ready for the day. No equipment needed, just get into something comfortable, grab your mat, and let's begin. All right, everyone, so we are about to get started for this amazing stretchy routine. We're going to begin with just some back stretches. So get into a 4-point position here on your hands and your knees. And from here, we're going to do some cats. So we're curling the tail under and rising all the way up into an angry cat shape, and then leading from the tail and lengthen the spine. We're going to do that a couple of times here. So what you'll find is that this routine is going to stretch and lengthen your entire body, get you moving, get your heart rate going, so you feel amazing at the end. Now, curl the toes under and just shift back and forward here. So rising up so you're hovering off the knees. We're going to start to get a little heat in the body. Mainly though, we are stretching the knees, the ankles, the feet, and then also getting a little bit of weight-bearing resistance in the wrist and shoulders. Let's lengthen out of the legs almost like a down dog, and we're just going to begin pedaling the feet. The intent here is really to just stretch out the ankle, the Achilles, the calf, making sure that the legs are neutral, meaning your foot is going down evenly on the instep and the outside edge. Bending those knees and gradually release down to the mat. Reaching the arm up, going right into thread the needle. Let's just get that back open. We're going to do about 2 or 3 of these. So just lengthen up and then rotate. I still have the toes tucked under because it feels really lovely in the foot and in the ankle joint. Remember, we are getting moving today. Switching sides, of course. Move with your breath. Inhale to lengthen and stretch up toward the ceiling, and then exhale to thread under, laying the head and shoulder down on the mat. And from here, we're going to extend the leg behind and the opposite arm forward, and we're just going to go into that bird dog, bending in, reaching out. I'm going to press through the heel of the foot here to really engage through the glutes. Get that leg up to hip height, please. Now wide and then center. This will just warm up the obliques, the hip, and of course the shoulder. And then we're going to, of course, change sides, pressing out with intent, glutes on as we press those legs out straight, trying to go hip height there, driving through the butt, reaching the opposite arm forward. Supporting shoulder ought to be relaxed and away from the ear, but strong. Press the arm away from the mat. Side to side here on that diagonal. When your foot remains dorsiflexed, pointing at the ground, you'll truly feel it above the hip and into the waist, which is what we're going for here. Getting everything moving. We're going to just tuck those toes under as you weight shift back. Again, concentrating on the range of motion at the ankles. And then take your body weight forward as much as possible. And let's just stretch out those wrists a little bit. Any breath that works for you. And then as you want, just kind of weight shift around through the hips, mobilizing the low back, the hip joints, and then also just changing that stretch all through the lower body. Let's come down into our prone position, legs laterally rotated at the edges of the mat. And then we just do our breaststroke prep here, pressing into the forearms to lift the upper body, keeping the cervical spine in neutral. Next position, take the shoulders, open them, reaching the arms back towards the feet. We want to keep the clavicle wide across the front body here. As we rise up, we're going to keep the hip and pubic bone driving down into the mat the whole time. Final, fold the hands together under the forehead. Keeping the legs connected to the ground, we inhale up and exhale down. This really just warms up the upper thoracic spine, so all those postural muscles. Going right into a turn. So keeping the lower body grounded, we're just rotating from elbow to reach up toward the ceiling and then lower down. And then inhale, we rotate, and exhale back down. I'm going to go ahead and press back and stretch the low back just a little. I always curl the toes under for that to stretch the foot fascia. Turning to our side here and just get a lateral stretch. If you want to use the free hand to drag the opposite arm away from the hip that's anchored, great. And then just go right into a lovely quad stretch. Doing them on the side here really opens up through the lower oblique. And then pulling it across the body, and let's just actively get a little glute med stretch here. Figure 4 variation. Repeating that, of course, on the other side. Up. And then if you want to use the free hand to give a little resistance in the wrist, make sure those shoulders are off the ears. Quad stretch, of course, opening up through the waist and the low oblique. And that modification on that figure 4. All right, down we go onto our backs. You're going to begin with your feet tucked in close to the tail, and we're going to just go through some imprint and release here, mobilizing the pelvis, and then right into our bridge. Think, reach the knees away from your face, so over the toes. Notice how you encourage more of a quadricep stretch. This is one of the best exercises you can do to strengthen the low back. Go ahead and tuck those knees in towards the chest and just a little gentle side-to-side rocking, massaging out that lower back. So those of you who are wondering, since I am on a hardwood floor, I am doubled up on my mat so that I have a nice soft cushion underneath. Rock and roll here. Try to be really fluid in the roll. Open up those feet, hip distance apart, and then all the way down we go. Let's stretch those legs out, making our body into a human X. Take one foot over and then rotate from the legs just to turn the lower body. We're just sort of working the body in parts here. And then let's do it with the upper body as well. From here, we're going to go ahead and bring the arms forward, flex head, neck, and shoulders up, and we're just warming up those lateral flexors, reaching the upper body toward the heel of the foot, side to side. Staying low, of course, keeping the low back imprinted to the mat. And now center tabletop the legs, single leg toe tap. You can of course do this with the head down, but I like the hands supporting the head for the added upper abdominal challenge. Moving from the hip, leading the knees at 90, right into our single leg stretch. Point those legs with purpose. Reach and reach. One, two, three on a rotation. Up, up, and more. Each time flexing and rotating incrementally toward the bent knee, ribs over and across. Rather than the elbow coming into the knee, think of taking the rib and the shoulder towards the opposite side. That encourages more flexion than rotation. So we want to have a nice equal combination. All right, hugging those knees in towards the chest. Little side to side action there, whatever feels right for you. And then we'll move into a stretching scissor first, just holding the leg in the scissor and moving the ankles into flexion, plantar flexion with the point and dorsiflexion as we draw the toes up. Switching legs, of course. We're all about just getting some blood flow to all the body parts here first thing this morning. Now we go 1, 2, 1, 2, right into those scissors. I'm in a point here at the toe is where we're going to start. So let's keep those feet in plantar flexion. And 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. Yep. And now dorsiflexion. Notice how that feels a little bit different in the lower leg specifically. Same abdominal engagement here, but we're just feeling that stretch a little differently through the legs. Go ahead and hug it in and just a little side to side rocking there. We're going to go into our one leg circle. So a bent knee down on the free leg, it gives the lower back more mobility. So since we are just stretching and energizing the body this morning, I suggest keeping it bent. If you are super flexible and no strain, go ahead and put the leg down straight. We're going to go across the midline, around and up. Don't worry about keeping your body super still as you're doing this. Let's get the body moving. So allow the hip to be mobile. And right into a spine twist here. These feel so nice. All right, and then let's go ahead and bring ourselves all the way up. All right, legs out long, reaching for the corners of the mat into our spine twist. 1, 2, 3, and then find the opposite side. Trying to keep the spine perfectly vertical. Head stays over the hips. Our legs are steady. Keeping the feet in dorsiflexion as much as you can. Trying to avoid that gas pedaling where we shift the legs one forward and the other back. Right into our neck pull prep. Hands behind the head. We flex back. Stay in flexion, take a pause, and then dive forward. And from there we straighten our backs up. Curling, leading with the low tail. Hold. And then we flex forward over the legs. And then we build our backs to tall. Curling backward. Pause. And then dive that shape forward over the legs. And then we build up to long spine. Diving over, trying to keep those legs steady. The hands behind the head add the weight to the upper body, and it makes the abs work a bit harder. If this isn't working out too successfully, you can certainly reach the hands forward. we're gonna go flipping over right into your little tricep push-up here. So we're gonna stay on the knees, so you can cross the ankles if you choose, but let's keep our body in a lovely straight neutral line, bending the elbows and lift. Inhale on the way down and exhale, rise. Try to keep those elbows nice and narrow. Halfway, here we go, keep going. 4, 3, 2, final. We're gonna come halfway down and just hang out there because it feels good and it makes us so strong. A little longer and up. Reaching back, always taking the opportunity to get a little low back flexion in between movements. We're gonna turn onto our side for our leg series. Angle the legs towards the front corner of your mat. We're gonna stack those feet, dorsiflexion. We kick forward and back. So the top leg comes 1, 2 to the front and sweep to the back. Trying to keep the rest of the body lovely and stable as we stretch that leg forward. Lots of obliques here, lots of stretching through the hamstring. Create a straight line with your body, and we're going to lift and then flex, and then point up and then flex down. So notice I laid my head on my arm. You want to go ahead and rest the neck down as you're doing this side leg series. Now, little circles here, hip height. Trying to keep the rest of the body stable as you draw your circles. We're going to go in reverse here. And after 8, lift and lower just the bottom leg. Feel those inner thighs burning here. Feel the oblique working. You can rest your hands right on those strong muscles on the top side of the waist. Now, we're going to extend the top arm, and we're just lifting and lowering. Keeping the legs down encourages the upper part of the lateral flexors to kick in. Don't worry, we'll do the bottom side as well. There we go. Lifting and lowering the bottom while we hold that flexion from the top. And then enjoy yet another spine twist. Always throw these in wherever you can. In between here, let's just take a little recovery. So we're gonna curl those toes under, come into sort of that half down dog, not quite a down dog, but here we're just gonna pedal out the feet. Again, just trying to stretch and mobilize all the body parts here, and then sink back into a little shell stretch. All right, we're on to the other side. Angling the legs to the front corner of your mat. And then we're going to do our kick. Sending the top leg forward twice and sweep it in the back. We dorsiflex forward and sweep with the plantar flexion. Inhale, exhale. Now line up the legs in a straight line, lengthen bottom arm, point up, flex down. On 8, pause at hip height and go through some large plate-sized circles. And reversing, of course. And then on 8, we hold the top leg and just lift the bottom. Trying to keep your balance here. Noticing the difference in the right and the left sides. And then we're going to take the upper body and we're doing that lateral flexion, keeping the legs anchored. And lifting the legs. 2, 3. Last 2. And then down we go. Enjoy your twist. You've earned it. I always look at those spine twists like a little reward for the work I just put in. Got a little less than 5 minutes on our routine left. Your body should be feeling pretty good about now. Let's go into our swan. Laterally rotated legs reaching past the corners of the mat. And you just press up into your flat palms until you're able to straighten the arms. Inhale to lift. And then exhale, we come down. Finding a parallel alignment, grab your foot and we'll enjoy this lovely quad stretch. Hip flexors are so tight on most bodies, so this is just a nice way to add a little bit of additional stretch. You kind of rock over to the sides, what really pulls up through the obliques here. Of course, repeating the same with the other side here. And then doing that little bit of a side mobility here so we get into the obliques and the hip flexor a little bit deeper. All right, back into our prone body. We're just going to lift and lower those wide swan legs. Bending the knees, connect the heels, and we just squeeze the glutes up. After about 8 to 10, we're going to just go right into our heel squeeze prone, just driving those heels into each other. Right foot pushing into left, left into right. Do some with flexion at the ankle and some while your feet are pointed. And then let's go ahead and go into a nice swim. Parallel legs. And wide, nice high breaststroke there. And then go ahead and lay down, bending the knees. Let those legs sway like windshield wipers. Let the low back final release. You have made it. So let's just go ahead and sit back onto those heels briefly. Stacking our bodies up, feeling that little bit of a stretch. And then just come to a comfortable seat at the end. Give yourself a little shoulder roll there. Final ending here with some neck stretches. Gently drag one hand onto the opposite ear, reaching the opposite hand away to increase more length. Of course, repeat that on both sides. Never pulling forcefully, just letting the upper body arm weight drag on that neck for added resistance. Placing both hands on the back of the head, allowing the neck to draw forward, keeping the spine long and neutral while you do this. All right, everybody, thank you so much. I hope you feel amazing. I know I do. I'm so glad that you were joining me today, and I look forward to seeing you next time. Thanks so much, everyone. Have a wonderful day.